up. So the forward progress, the 90 degree is up. And then you're late on the transition to the inward vector. Can't let them past you, though. And you got to get all four vectors in. So the arm movement is the inward spiral, just like in Ikkyo. There's four vectors in the inward spiral. Too far out. What we just saw was, and it's fine, okay. Virginia has a hurt knee. Baoqing's still learning. I'm not sure you're aware of it though. This is like a entryway from the solo ukemi into where we want to go. It's like stepping stone 2, okay? So if we do the solo back break fall training, you get to see that she has all control. She decides when she's going to start, at what rate she's going to go, at what angle she's going to fall. She has all control of that. Do you guys understand? Okay, so, and what we want to do when we get to the actual ukemi, you won't have any control. So we start out with, you have all control. So we teach the back break fall, and she gets to go. She lowers, like I said, at her rate, at her angle, at her starting point. Okay, she goes. And even when we go from beginning standing back break fall to where we just are going across the mat, right? Good. We've given them some momentum, some inertia to it, where she doesn't really have as much control. So come back and do the beginning one, and stop. Try it again. I think you can stop. Down. You can see that gravity's not working on her. She's controlling gravity at that point. So when she comes up and she finishes it all, even gravity's not really controlling her, okay? When we come a little more and we take some control from her, we're going to introduce some of the gravity and the ensuing momentum that she can't really control. They'll try though, okay? So you're like going across the mat like we say ukemi. You see, she decides how fast she's going to go, which means she decides how much gravity and the momentum from the gravitational pull, she decides its value, okay? So she goes. And if you pay attention, she's still trying to resist the gravity. Go ahead, don't change anything, okay? And she gets to decide that still this momentum, not more than that, okay? Even though it is now in control of things. From there, we'll take over the gravity. We go to the next step, okay? So on this one, she doesn't get to decide when to start now. I decide when she starts with my push. And I also decide how much gravitational momentum she experiences. We taken away that control from her. Okay? And we just do this. Okay? And now let's go back, and I want you to observe your consciousness, okay? Let's do the first one again. And how does it feel to you? Yeah, the whole thing. Just do the whole thing. I'll let you do like 3 reps. And good. And then we'll have you do, well, how does it feel? Like, what do you feel?
Not really anything.
Okay, yeah, I would say her body looks relaxed, right? Outside of the resistance to the gravitational pull. But in that is a contestation, and in the contestation is the self that's attempting to be reified and feels threatened, okay? As we now have her moving, she goes. And to me, like, I can see the flexion points that come up. There's even still some OS moments, okay? And you can't hear it or probably see it, but there's some breath holding that happens, which is also a fear response, okay? And then let's do one more in between. So we're going to have you run your fastest back, okay? Run your fastest and back break fall. And you can see again the little stutter step in the motion, not in this part, but before she even got there, okay? And you were faster than that, okay? And you can see again, she tries to, ever so often, your body's slowing down and the breath is being held, okay? But you're acclimating the deshi to less and less control, less and less self-reification. And then we do this one, okay? And you can start out pretty simple, so it's not a hard push. And you can see that she's trying to slow it down, okay? Did you feel that? Can you see it or no? Okay. That's all her trying to get control back. And just like the first one for somebody might already induce the contestation, like the very first one. From this part on, it might already, because of the fear of falling, okay? And then as you take away more and more control, the fear of the loss of control comes in, the self gets reified and contest, okay? Meaning that it takes very small, what you would consider relatively low intensity to go ahead and trigger what we have to get over, okay? That's important. So This isn't like no training. This is still training, okay? And then when you get to this one where I'm pushing her, again, the push is relatively soft. It's pretty soft, you see. But you can up it again, and you take more control away from her. And you could hear your breath, right? As you get a little freaky, okay? And this helps acclimate them for what we want. But there's still a lot of control in here, okay? The next one you can do for acclimating is we come from the back, because the body has more vulnerability from the back. And we do the same thing. And you can see that one didn't quite go. Okay. Do you see? Okay? And you training them through that. There's no point in overkilling it, because no one's going to get acclimated. Or let's say this, acclimation is only going to do so much, and it's not necessarily release of self. It's just acclimation. So it doesn't necessarily, like they get used to that level of intensity. It's not intense. It's not that the self got released, but it helps them get there, okay? So I wouldn't do that all day long, and then you're going to fix people, okay? At some point, you're going to go into the technique. And when you do the technique, it's really this drill again, okay? Only we're in different hand positions. And that's what you guys were just doing right now, okay? So if you pay attention, okay, and I do the technique, there's just my cue. But even then, there was a little of that contestation. Okay, that's better. So I brought the pause in to give her time to acclimate, and I'm leaving the same back break fall angle that she's doing by herself. Do you see that? And this is just training people. If you pay attention, the only difference between the drill where she's going backwards is she now does a little turn, she goes angle, but everything is the same, okay? Now, if you look at my Nage now, you can see that I don't have all four vectors, and I don't have the X pattern, okay? So even this is like, I know myself, I'm not throwing her, I'm training her, okay? By not having the X pattern and not having all four vectors on the throw, she's still in control. She gets to decide the angle that she's going to fall. In the fight, that would be someone trying to counter you, so you have to change their trajectory, and you do that with the four vectors, okay? So instead of going one single vector, I can do all of them. And you could see she held her breath, right? She's catching her breath right now. And you could see that the third and fourth vector took her off where she was going to go. Is that visible? Okay. And then where does it go in your body? Where did all that energy go? Yeah, in her neck, because she's contesting what in something she can't. It's not contestable. So now we start crashing and burning. Okay. Does that make sense? Why is she contesting? Because she was trying to keep control and have that single lowering trajectory, which is not our throwing architecture. If you were letting happen what would happen, it would just move your body and you would go there. But because you have, this is where I go, it now contests, okay? But it's the fear of losing control and stuff like that, okay? So what I would like you guys to do now is to more ensure that you're doing the 4 vectors. And don't do the X pattern now because we're not there, okay? When you do the X pattern, then the thing you saw countering her control and her descent is now happening about, 3 feet off the ground. Do you get that? So if you're trying to train somebody in this, I always say, don't do the X pattern. Don't do the X pattern because you did everything up high, and that, if she messes up, she's like, there's going to be repercussions there, okay? So rather than, for you guys, I don't want you to have a single trajectory where she just falls normal, okay? I would like for you to have all 4 of them, okay? And you can feel that you go, okay? You see how she comes up, she's smiling, like, whoa, what was that? All that kind of stuff, okay? Now, the second thing, if you can, I would like for you to feel, well, because when do you change from one vector to the next vector? When do you change?
When you run into either the end of the range of motion or the contest.
Yeah, which is the same place. Yeah, the same place. Okay, so when you feel the yang, you go to the next vector. So when she predicts where she's going to go, that's where you go to the 90-degree fluctuation. Now she's going where she doesn't want to go. Do you see? And so that's the training. So I don't want you to come up here and do it whenever. You will feel her intention, and it will feel the yang, and that is someone countering you, and that's when you go. You don't need to slam them or anything. My arm is very loose and relaxed, but you're just going 90 degrees to that attempt to control what's going on. In this way, our Nage are training at very high level without doing the X pattern, okay? And so you can train with people of varying degrees properly. That's a legit throw. We just made it a little safer by not putting it 3 feet off the ground, okay? Any questions or comments or observations? Come on, what are you thinking?
I'm just thinking I need to get better at Ukemi.
Yeah, and that's what we do, okay? That's what we do, okay? But it's a progression that you get there, okay? Anything, Virginia? Even if observation, here's what I saw, or I saw that, or anything, because there's people that.
Well, you can definitely see the difference between the one, the first easier vector, the 1 or 2 vectors,
Yeah.
versus the 4.
The 4, yeah.
The 4, you see the spiral, you see them, they see.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see if I can say it better. So when people counter you, they generate yang energy, and the art is go 90 degrees to that, okay? Then point 1. Point 2, that's built in the inward spirals and the outward spirals because they're 4 vector arm movements, always, okay? And so now point 3, we match her counter, it's the counter. Look at it energetically, as you rightfully pointed out. It's a yang, it generates yang, and that's where I go around. I change to the next vector in the arm movement. Okay, in doing that as a Nage, I'm training pretty high level. Okay, I will be able to counter people's counters. Got that? This is when you hear me always complain to Ronan when he was younger, like, don't let them. Right? Make them go where you want them to go. This is what I'm talking about. Because his gentle spirit would feel you're wanting to go that way, and then you let them go that way because they're falling and you think you did the throw. But it's not the throw, it's them countering you. They just happen to decide to go ahead and lay down, okay? Instead, I want you guys to, oh, there's that, and go into the vectors. It's not, you don't have to slam them, okay? And in you guys training like that, we take more and more control away from the beginner uke or the less skilled uke, right? And we get them up to where they need to be. Now, someone might, let's say, the beauty of this is that you might not be able to do the X pattern on certain uke. Like they're too old, or you know what I mean? Or they're injured or something like that. But you can still train where they don't have control. It's not choreographed. They're not countering you. You're learning how to counter counters. Do you understand? So this is why a lot of times I just training like this as opposed to dumping everyone with the X pattern over and over, okay? All right, let's try it again. You still have to enter, you still have to have the angles. A lot of times what you do is you step to the angle they're stepping to so that you could just accelerate them on the angle that they wanted to go. You still, I don't take her leg out, but I still am entering on the X pattern angle. Okay, all right. I think she wanted to go on the other leg, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, that's right. So your leg is following her angle. Your right leg. Your leg has to come that way to 2 o'clock, not 12, definitely not 10, 11. And so he leaves, you leaving out the in angle because you smell the throw. So let me have Virginia. So you can do, let's say she's hurt, okay? So I do everything. Do you see? So she wanted to go there because you already have your angle because you're protecting your leg. But that's not where I need you to go. So, but I can do it slow, okay? So I'm here. She's too far, so stay there, please. She's too far ahead, too far that way. Do you see? So when I enter, she's going to be able to go back with me, and she has control. So when I'm here, I like, no. There, do you see? And look at her posture now, do you see? And then you can just do this very slowly. This is more your training. And you could tell the difference in her body, because you're like, okay? All right. Better. So you keep going down. You have to come back in. So when she's walking in, who's in control? She is, okay? So you're in la yield land, okay? You're bringing her in. See how many steps she's taking, like, freely. You have to feel that as a counter, not I'm going to take advantage of it because I need her to come in. Better. And then again, we don't have to rely on speed to do it. Yes, okay? And this is training her, and this is training you. But we're not flying, and we're not 3 feet off the ground, okay? And same thing, while not doing the X, your foot doesn't go to 12, okay? Good. I didn't see your foot though, but it was good training for Baoqing. Okay, so that would be like the next step up. I taught you the standing back break fall. I let you generate the momentum value you want. Then I chose the momentum value from the front. Then I chose the momentum value from the back. Got it? And then I did the technique in a way that I understand her seeking of control as a counter, which generates a yang, which I don't contest, and I go around it at 90 degrees, okay? Or I rotate it, I spiral rotate it at 90 degrees, okay? All right, so as the deshi are training in that, you continue to hone Nage skills so that they take more control over uke, and thereby uke gets used to not being in control, or they better said, they have to develop the body mind that does not seek control, okay? So I'll now correct the Nage. So when you're doing this hand, you're all in this hand, and this hand's not doing anything. So this whole hand is in your body, okay? All the hands are in your body, do you see? So for example, walk through like she is, do you see? I control the rate. I control the degree. Okay? I don't just go here where this side can walk through because it's dead. Do you see?
Yes.
Okay? So both sides are controlling them. I don't want you to walk through because you have control. I decide how, when, and how far. Okay? As a Nage, you should train yourself to feel the oh shit moments in their body mind, okay? Because that's telling you they didn't have control, and that means you had control, okay? So you would feel for the tensions, the breath holding, right? The letting go, all that kind of stuff is telling you you're on the right track, as long as you don't give them back control when they're trying to do those things, okay? So as I correct my Nage, they create a more fertile environment for the uke, and that just happens until we're fuller and fuller in the Nage waza, where you include the X pattern, and then the uke just has no choice, you're gonna go, okay? But here the correction was, don't have this hand be dead and you're just taking advantage of her walking in. You are moving them in. Do you see? Do you get that? Does that make sense? But, Chris, we're not doing this. That's her push that you're taking advantage of, okay? All right, continue. Better. And you can't freak out either. You have to keep breathing. So let's go back again. Go really slow. Okay, go back. And we're going to watch Bao Qing's nose. We're going to plot it in vertical space as it's moving across. There we go. Now her nose goes backwards. Go again. And we'll see what that, don't change anything, and we'll see what that does for Bao Qing's body-mind. No, I don't want you to change anything. I want you to do it exactly the same. Her nose came in, and then her nose went back. There you are. Now her nose goes back. Do you see? And that is exactly what she wants to happen. Okay, so we'll change rules here. I'll duplicate the experiment. Okay, you're coming in, then she's going back. She comes in, there's her nose in space, let go for me, don't move. Here's her nose in space, grab again, and now her nose goes back. That's the back break fall, okay? The technique, however, here, this way. And you can feel you started huddling, there's our smile when we get up, right? Because that's not what you want. You want your control again, do you see? But by making you go, whoa, 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 it's hard to now come back down, okay? That's a counter. Someone stopped coming in, do you see? You need to go to something else. Or you do Tenshi Nage, which is the first move is she comes forward. She's coming forward. Do you understand? Not by her walking forward, but by what? 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 I'm moving her forward. So once I make contact, it goes back, it goes this way. Do you see? And then it goes up. Then it's starting to turn in. It's going back. And is it coming back around? And it goes back that way. Just like the Ikkyo. Okay? I'm going to try it again. And this is another example of I'll correct the Nage, and it'll help the Uke. Okay? So not it. Don't look down and ignore him. Stay in the communion. And you got to get the footwork without taking their hips out. Better. Better. So we're never going to be tall enough, okay? Okay? So I'm not going to go here and then go like that. This is what I got, okay? And his height changes in the tilt. Do you see how his head is going lower? Do you understand? Don't expose this and lose your anchored elbow, okay? So you're here, boom, tilt. And you can feel, how's your body like it? Right? Because the same thing. You got to accept. We're just training on this acceptance. Okay. Okay? Without boom, right? It's one reason why you need that X pattern, because they can get too tall. Now you're way out here like that, okay? But it's still doable at this height difference, okay? All right, so try it. And you're taller than me. Try it again, same exact way. Okay, so now you felt that throw and the throw I was doing. Go into your body mind, talk about some differences. What was different? What was your different experience of the two?
In yours, there's no choice. There's no. I could choose to walk out of her technique, or
Yes.
I could choose to do the back break.
Yes.
Out of
Culture.
culture.
Yeah.
That's not an option with yours.
Okay, and how did that lack of option feel compared to the option even if you choose to go down?
Well, we've been training for probably 30-something reps, and I haven't broken a sweat, and I haven't been trying to catch my breath.
Yeah.
And after 5 throws from you, here I am still
Winded.
catching my breath.
Yeah, and that's from the breath holding, okay? So can we say that one I felt not in control and one I felt in control, and as a result of not being in control, it triggered the fear, all the physiologically associated fear responses, like holding our breath and all that kind of stuff, okay? As opposed to the other one, you could see how calm you are in this one because you have regained control, okay? So we'll do it again. And you just walk out like you did on the first rep, right? You just do the same way, and he just walks out. Do you see? Okay? But this is where modern Aikido, you would take that fall, right? And you were nice enough to take it, right? If you were like Tristan, assholery, he's just going to walk out. And that's it. You got 3 more chances. Okay, you didn't throw me at all. My turn, right? Okay. And so as you're developing this, you have to teach the uke, no, do what they're doing, and you either get thrown or you don't get thrown, okay? So that would be the next thing you do to increase the fertility of your training environment. So we showed the beginner uke, the basic mechanics, which really only teach how to keep your head off the mat. That's really what they only teach, and find the ball of the foot, okay? We took away gradually their control over the inertia, right? And on the when starting and all that kind of stuff, okay? And then we go into the technique. We do it slow. We don't do it 3 feet above the ground, so we take the X pattern out. And we understand their need for control as counters that we counter appropriately through reconciling yin and yang, okay? Then we fix the nage, right? And then we make sure that no uke is falling when they're not being thrown. And now the environment gets more fertile and is more capable of producing this proper ukemi, okay? When we take falls, when we weren't thrown, the only time you would do that here is we have a brand new person, right? But that's not on the mat right now. So to get some of the Nagewaza architecture, we let the Nage the uke just take that fall. But at this level, no, because we're polluting the fertile soil for self-release, okay? All right, let's keep training. Okay, so that's the same throw. It worked here. Why?
Virginia's taking the fall.
No, not really. She's shorter, and so you physically going over the top of her is now possible. Do you see that? But it's not Aikido. Okay, if she wanted to, she could out-yang that, even with her height. Okay. And this is where, okay, I gotta just keep fixing, as a teacher, I just have to keep fixing the nage, right? And you keep fixing the nage, and then you will fix the uke, okay? I don't want my uke, Virginia made the right choice. I don't want them practicing contestation, okay? Chris didn't have to resist to walk out. That's where she was letting him go. She wasn't letting Virginia go that way because Virginia was shorter. So I don't want Virginia contesting. I come and fix Baoqing's Nagewaza. Do you see? Virginia made the right choice as a uke, because that'll get us further along than if she counters a technique that she could have countered. Okay? All right. All right, so all that's kind of good in pedagogical theory, but the downside or the overall real life difficulty is twofold. One, is the student doing the 4 disciplines and the bedrock practices? Because if they're not, there's not enough. How do I want to say this? The self is too rigid, too concrete to get any wiggle room. Whereas if you're doing the 4 disciplines correctly, you have to practice all kinds of self-release in order to keep them going. All types of ways that you anti-venom the 3 poisons of fear, pride, and ignorance, okay? Then also, if in the 4 disciplines you're doing the fitness and the nutrition disciplines, you can develop a body that we can actually throw without injuring you, okay? And if you don't, then we won't. And then you will never be able to use Aikido as a way of self-release. It's not possible, okay? And then the other thing is that in our architectures, the way that we are controlling the uke is through the internal skills. So if I can't ground, adhere, and project, the uke will not be under my control, and they will seek control and be able to regain control, okay? Likewise, the nage thereby will not be able to produce a nage waza at which the uke can experience you have no control, okay? And that's really what's going on here. The adhesion part on the first part, we don't have. And so we don't have control over Chris, and Chris can walk out. Without the adhesion part, you have to resort to a external engine, which worked because it was high enough for her, and she's opting not to contest it. Okay, does that make sense? So now you can't. So meaning you can't just do nage waza. You can't just do kihon waza. You have to do the disciplines. You have to do the bedrock practices, and you have to develop the internal skills through the cultivation sets. And that means in our order of priority, more time goes to the disciplines, the bedrock practices, and the cultivation sets than goes to Kihon Waza. Because there's no point doing Kihon Waza without all those elements in place. You're just going to have self-reification, control seeking. The 3 poisons of fear are going to be operating through you. We're now not doing Budo. We're just doing Federite Aikido. Okay?